What's up, guys? Lane and Trish here, and welcome to Making Moves with Lane and Trish. We're super excited and stoked to welcome you to our new podcast, new improved podcast, and we're excited to share with you all the stories and just life experiences that we've had over the last, how long we've been together, Trish? 23 years?
We are going on 23 years. We'll hit 23 years together in April.
Yeah, so tons and tons of stories, as you can imagine. And so we're super excited to get to share that with you. And we've collected a lot of stories from other individuals as well along the years, haven't we?
Yeah, and I think what's so cool about that is through our own life stories and our own experiences, life events, all of that kind of stuff, but also, the things that we have gotten to experience in the real estate industry and traveling and just being around other amazing people. We've learned some pretty awesome life lessons and business lessons, and we're excited to get to share some of those with you guys. So
absolutely.
I'm glad and I'm super excited they all have joined us on here. And I can't wait to talk with you guys each and every single week about something that we feel is important. We'll pick out what it is. We're going to have lots of cool different topics, but the underlying premise is going to be, making positive moves in your life and in your business, and different disciplines and different things that you can put in place and focus on so that you are able to reach those big goals that you put in place for yourself.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, that's probably the most important thing, is always making sure that you're making a positive impact and positive moves throughout your life,
Yeah, I think, one of the things that, we have to focus on is first and foremost figuring out why we're working towards what we're working towards. So what is it that you want? What is your why? And we hear people talk about that a lot. And I think it is the very first thing that has to be established anytime you're going to set a goal or anytime you're going to start trying to work towards something. If you don't know what you're working towards and you haven't set definitive, results, that you want to reach, you don't know what you need to do. You can't put a plan of action in place. And it's literally with everything in your life. It's not just with your business and growing, as far as reaching success and that stuff, but it's literally with every single thing you encounter in life. It's your relationships. It's, your day-to-day interactions with other people and things like that. If you don't know what you would accomplish each and every day, there's no way you're going to accomplish it. So it's
I think if you don't know what your why is, you're never going to be able to push through when times get really tough.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot that goes into that, but I think let's rewind just a little bit. I know we were talking about Lane and I and how long we've been together, but
yep.
I think that's gonna start us off with our topic, which today is going to be the power of and the importance of consistency. And there is no denying at all. No one in the whole world can deny that to have a strong relationship and to stay with someone, through the test of time, as they say, you've got to be
pretty consistent.
You've got to be consistent.
For sure.
Yeah, you've got to figure out what it took to get into that relationship. What is it about each other that you fell in love with, that you wanted to spend the rest of your lives with, and you have to continue to do those things over and over and over. And if you want to continue to grow, you've got to make sure that on a consistent basis, you're not letting those things, fall beside the wayside. So I kind of like to equate it to anything else that's living. A relationship is a living thing. It's growing, it's changing, if you're not feeding it the things it needs on a daily basis, it'll die, and obviously nobody wants the relationship to die. So we've definitely put things in place, from the beginning and as we grew together that we had to do consistently to make sure it works.
In fact, do you remember, Patricia, when we were coming back from Las Vegas after we had just gotten married? And what the passengers did for us that time?
I do remember.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That was after 7 days in Las Vegas, so it was kind of hard to remember
a little tired.
a lot of things. But
we're worn out.
We had an amazing wedding in Las Vegas. We didn't just elope or anything like that or do anything on a whim. We actually got married on our 7-year anniversary.
Yeah, we've been together for a while.
And it was about 25 of us that went to Las Vegas. Lots of family members, friends, people from all over the nation came, and we had an amazing wedding in Las Vegas.
It was a whole lot of fun.
It was awesome. But yes, on the way back, once they found out, and I think I was carrying my wedding dress in its bag, and I think that's kind of how the cat got out of the bag, literally, that we had just gotten married.
It's kind of obvious, right?
Yeah, but it was very, very cool because we didn't realize what they were doing. but they were passing around a bag, like a paper bag, and it was going around, and every single passenger that was on the flight with us wrote down their words of wisdom or their words of advice or encouragement or whatever it was that they wanted to share with
Yeah.
us as newlyweds. It was amazing. It
Yeah,
was we
pretty
got
awesome.
yeah, we got it at the very end of the flight. One of the flight attendants brought it over to us, and I still have that bag. It's in a nice little keepsake box, but there were so many really cool things in there that people gave to us as far as their advice and stuff. What was maybe one of your favorite ones, Lane?
Well, gosh, the one that stood out the most to me was the one that said, I think it was an older couple that gave it to us, and they said that just make sure you never go to bed angry with each other. And everybody has heard of that before, but just, they said that, that was something that they kind of practiced their whole lives. And, I think there's a lot to be said about that, because if you go to bed angry and you do it consistently, you got to think about what that can do to really just jeopardize and hurt your relationship over time.
Yeah, and so we implemented that very early in our relationship, and just decided, no matter what happens throughout the day, no matter what events take place, what words are said, if the day is coming to an end and you're getting ready to go to bed, don't leave those as the things that are out there. So agree to disagree, say your apologies if needed, at
Yeah.
least agree that you're going to go to bed on good terms. And if
Yeah.
you've got to pick back up the next day and sort things out or whatever it is, do that. But don't go to bed angry. And so we've lived by that for, I guess if we that was our 7 years. That was 7 years, and we're at 23 now.
Yeah.
So
That was 2003.
yeah, so we've lived like that for quite a few years, and it makes a huge difference. And consistency goes both ways. So if you're consistent with a good habit like that, it can obviously turn to very positive results and keep things growing and moving in a positive, forward motion in your life. But likewise, if you're consistently doing the opposite and you're doing something negative and you're just letting the day, and sometimes it's not even each other that you're upset with in the day. Sometimes you just have a bad day. Sometimes it's a client or a situation or a transaction, or someone else said something or did something to you, and you're frustrated and you take it out on your spouse, by being upset or whatever it is, or lashing out, when you don't need to. Those can affect your day. So the positive consistency can be very good for you, but you have to understand too that having things that you do negatively that are, that you do consistently can be, like Lane said, just jeopardizing to whatever you're trying to accomplish.
And I think too, if you can just kind of check your anger at the door in the evening and just realize tomorrow is a brand new day, after a great night's sleep, you're going to look at your problems from a totally different perspective. And, a lot of times the next day, it doesn't seem like there's really a problem at all.
Yeah, that's why we hear the term sleep on it. If you're trying to make a big decision, or if you're trying, before you, try to blow up about a situation or something, sleep on it. Maybe it's not as important as you think it is.
It's amazing what a little sleep can do, right?
Yes, we could all use a little bit more, but at the same time, I like the time I get when I sleep an hour less every day and have other people sleep that extra hour. So
yes, absolutely.
well, and I think back to consistency, Tony Robbins, literally everything that comes out of that guy's mouth is like an aha moment. But
he is amazing.
Has something he has said, and I've heard him say a lot about consistency. And he says, in essence, if we want to direct our lives, we must take control of our consistent actions. It's not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, but it's what we do consistently. And that's literally with everything. And like I said, you've first got to know what it is you want, then you can create a plan to follow and know what action needs to be taken. And anybody, and I mean that, anybody can cultivate the discipline of consistency. It's a habit just like everything else. And it's something that gives you, like I was talking about, taking an hour less of sleep each day, and how that gives me extra time that my competitor might not have. But the single most effective strategy to outperform the toughest competitors you'll ever face is consistency.
Yeah, it really does give you an almost unfair advantage over everybody else who is not very consistent. I mean, it's not the smartest people in the room, that are accomplishing the biggest things out there, most of the time. It's just the people that are very, regimented, and they're very consistent in their actions, and they know what they want. They have a very solid why. Those are the ones that are getting, most of the results.
Yeah, and I think before we can even jump into having consistent actions and consistent behavior, I said, like, you've got to know your what and your why and all that. So the very first thing you have to be consistent with is your thinking. You have to
Yeah.
consistently put the right thoughts in your head and know those things before you can jump in and start taking action that's going to actually lead you to the results you want. I think one of the things we see, and we see it a lot in this industry, in the real estate industry that we are in, it is a sad, sad thing that 87% of realtors or real estate agents that get into the industry, they're out of the industry within 5 years. They
Oh,
don't.
absolutely.
That is a real fact and a
That
real
revolving door,
statistic. And I don't even like to call it a success or a failure rate, because I don't even think they've failed. I think they've simply not taken the right steps to be consistent in their business. First and foremost, figuring out what it is they want. And then obviously second, putting the plan in action for that, and then staying consistent. So I think consistency is the key in that. And unfortunately, with consistency, it's not fun. A lot of the time, it is very
No.
much not fun. You're doing the things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them. You have to do the things you don't want to do when you don't want to do them. It is clear and cutthroat. And
You do. You really do. And you know what you're talking about kind of reminds me of an analogy, or I read it somewhere at some point, but it's the microwave popcorn analogy.
Let me set this one up for you. Everyone,
Okay.
close your eyes, or you don't have to close your eyes. But imagine this. You're getting all comfy on the couch. You've got your blanket. You're getting ready to binge watch one of your favorite Netflix series, right? And what makes that better but some popcorn, right?
Everybody loves popcorn.
So you gotta love your popcorn while you're
well-
hanging out watching movies or watching Netflix.
Yeah, well, when you have a bag of popcorn, you put it in the microwave. What happens if you put it in there for a minute and a half, 2 minutes, whatever it calls for? You're going to have popcorn. You get to eat. Great. It's awesome. But what happens if you put your microwave popcorn in the microwave, and every 15 seconds you open the door and look at it again, say, "Has it popped?" And then,
Is it done yet?
Is it done yet? Is it done yet? And
Stop,
then
go,
you
stop,
stop,
go.
go. Yeah, you stop, go, and you keep doing that over and over and over. You can literally sit there for hours and probably nothing is going to
You
happen.
could do that for hours, even if you're microwaving it for 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute. You will literally never end up with a bag of popcorn.
You're never going to
doing
see
that.
any results, and you're never going to get to eat. And so, no popcorn for you. And so, I think you can kind of relate that to
No
business
Netflix and
and
chill,
or
right? 'Cause
life.
no popcorn.
No Netflix and chill.
Because you
But-
messed up the popcorn because
Yes.
you weren't consistent.
Yes, but if you do relate that to business or life or anything out there, it's like you can't start and stop. There's a starting and stopping cost to every time you drop what you're doing and take a look at things again.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite stories about that along those same lines, this, stopping right in the middle of something, and it's just like this. It's like talent isn't going to win the race, and it is not going to beat out consistency. And this is a childhood story, and I'm pretty sure everyone's probably heard it at some point in different, little variations and stuff, but it's the story of the tortoise and the hare. But essentially, so they're two friends. You've got your tortoise and you've got your hare, and they're hanging out. They're friends. The tortoise is known for being really, really sluggish, and the hare is known for being super fast, like lightning speed here. And one day they're hanging out, and the hare kind of jokes on the tortoise and laughs at him for being so ridiculously slow. Says, "Yeah, I may be slow, but I promise you, I could beat you in a race." And the hare's like, "What in the world are you talking about? There is no possible way you could beat me. I am way faster than you." And he's like, "Well, put your money where your mouth is. Let's go test this. Let's set a date. Let's meet out there, and I will race you." So they get one of their friends. I think the friend was a rat in the story.
Yeah.
But they get their rat. He's gonna take care of doing the start.
I don't remember the rat. Is that what it is? I don't know.
That's why I said there's
Hey.
different variations of it. But essentially,
That's a new
so
variation.
yeah, the rat's appointed as the referee, and he blows the whistle and starts the race. And of course, with just like expected, off goes the hare. Lightning speed. He's leaving dust behind him, and the tortoise starts his crawl. And he starts going. And before long, the tortoise can't even see the hare anymore. And the hare's just going. And the hare turns around and he can't see the tortoise. And he's going, "Yep, this is exactly what I knew was going to happen. It's going to take him forever to catch up with me. So I'm just going to stop for a minute. I'll stop and let him catch up. Maybe I'll munch on a little bit of this grass, have some water, hang out." And so he does that. And he has stopped his momentum. And before you know it, he gets kind of sleepy, sits down next to a
Taking a
tree,
nap.
and before he knows it, he's fallen asleep next to the tree. And who knows how much time passed, but he's there for a little bit, wakes up, he feels all energized and ready to go again. He's like, dang, I still can't see that tortoise. I'll just go ahead and finish the race. And he takes off with his same speed that he had in the beginning and speeds his way to the finish line, only to find, once he gets to the finish line, that the tortoise is already there. He has beat him in the race because he did not stop. He stayed consistent, even though his pace was not as fast. He stayed steady and stayed consistent, and he actually got to the finish line before the one that was faster but got distracted and stopped and started and did things over and over.
So yeah, so consistency trumps speed,
Yeah, and they teach,
Yep.
we're taught this as little kids, and it's one of those things that the sooner you implement it in your life, and we implement it in our lives in way more ways than we realize. We're consistent with a whole lot of things we do each and every day. Each day you get up, you brush your teeth.
Yeah. Well, even before that, you have to sleep every day. Well,
You gotta sleep.
a lot of times
You gotta eat.
you don't get much sleep, but at least
and we have routines and things that we get into in our daily lives that we don't realize is our own way of being consistent, because that's what we have to do to stay alive, and that's what we have to do to thrive in any form or fashion, as far as moving forward.
Yeah. Try consistently not eating for several days and see how you feel.
It's not fun. We've been fasting lately, so
fasting.
we do an 18 to 20 hour fast every single day.
Yes.
It's not fun. It's a hard thing to become consistent at, because we are used to being consistent about eating in the morning and eating again at lunch and then eating again at dinner, and now we have to wait until a certain time frame to eat. It's not fun, and it's not easy. And I think another thing with consistency is that it's, like I said, not fun. And a lot of times, the more consistent you are with working towards those big goals, the more you're going to feel like a failure along the way. And I think that's why a lot of people stop. Sometimes it's to rest, like we talked about with, the hair, but sometimes it's simply because you've gotten to the point where you feel like a failure. All that time you spend working, trying, failing, trying again, failing again, trying again, failing again. It's tough, and I think that weighs on a lot of people simply because they haven't put themselves in the right mindset to understand that that is part of the process, and you have to trust the process. There are hidden results happening with all of your actions that you're doing consistently that you cannot ignore, or you'll start to feel that feeling of failure. And it's something as soon as you get past that, I heard a saying once, and I don't remember who said it. It was, success comes through sustained effort. But what we fail to realize a lot of the time within that statement is the key word is not effort. The key word is sustained. And that's what makes the biggest difference in the effort you're putting forward. So it's a huge difference, even if you grind every day, and we hear it these days, like hustle every day, get up and hustle every day, but if you're getting up every day and you're hustling by doing different things, you're not going to reach your goals.
Well, the level of success and really happiness, it's directly in proportion to the level of consistency that you can maintain from one level to the next.
Yeah, and I'm sure, any of you guys that follow us on any other social media, platforms or channels, you see that we check into the gym every day when we go to the gym, and we're pretty consistent about going to the gym. We try for 7 days a week.
There's a level of accountability that comes from checking in every time. It's like people come to expect it. So, it's a...
Well, and I think a lot of times we check in, it's for ourselves. You know what I mean? Because
it definitely is.
Yeah, I know, yes, I'm checking in at the gym again. You're probably annoyed with it, but this is me holding myself accountable to the fact that I said I'm going to do this every day. So it is just one level of accountability we've put in place. And the same thing when it comes to workouts and consistency. That's a fantastic example of how you have to stay consistent, trust the hidden results, because how much results are you going to see in the change of your body and the change of the way you feel from your workouts after one workout?
Yeah. It doesn't come easy. It doesn't come easy for me or most people. It's something you have to really dedicate yourself to, and you really can't be reasonable with it. You have to be unreasonable with being consistent.
And I laugh, because I'm sitting here thinking about some of the things we have done in our lives consistently years ago or over the years, that we ultimately had to figure out how to change in order to start reaching higher levels of success and really, really grow. And I think back, and this is a pretty funny story. If my brother Paul listens to this, he'll laugh.
Back in our 20s.
Back in our 20s. And, so Lane and I, like I said, we've been together a long time. I'm really good friends with my brother Paul. He's only 2.5 years younger than me.
Yeah.
He's literally one of my best friends.
Had some crazy times.
And in our 20s, having someone that you hang out with that's a few years younger than you keeps you young, by the way, or keeps you doing things young people do that maybe you shouldn't as you get older. But mid-20s, he's in his early 20s, and we went to the bar all the time. It was part of what we did literally all the time. We hung out at the same bars. We realized at one point we made I call it a pact. I don't know, it was an agreement. I'm not sure why we did it or why we thought it would be a good thing to do.
The things you do in your early 20s, right?
But we decided that we were going to go to the bar, the same bar, just down the street from where we all lived at the time, and we were going to go every single day for 30 days straight.
Gosh.
And we did. And I
don't
remember
do this at home.
that we're sitting there at the bar,
or the bar.
three of us, and we're like, we did it. We made it 30 days straight at the bar. Well, seemed like a good idea at the time.
Seemed like a good idea.
I think back as to how tired we didn't miss work. We didn't miss, we maybe showed up late a few times during that time or whatever. We were both working for my dad at the time, so we had a little flexibility, but we got there all the time. But you know what? We weren't performing at any kind of optimal level at all.
We were exhausted.
We were tired. And I think about that even, these days, and obviously we're not going to the bar regularly, and we go out and celebrate when it's time to celebrate, and we obviously go to events with people and and enjoy ourselves, and that's part of life. But I can still tell you right now that on the occasions that we go do that, the next day I don't feel as good. But we're in that point where it takes several days to recuperate from a nice night out, But it's one of those things that we had to go, okay, we have to change this in our lives, and we have to consistently start doing things that are better for us instead of things that are worse for us.
Yes.
So that's where we're like, all right, the gym, we've changed our eating habits, we've changed our nutrition habits, and there's a lot that goes into that. It's not just a matter of getting up and showing up at the gym. It's making sure you're doing the right workouts for your body for what you want to, achieve. It's making sure that you've got the right nutrients, if you're on a specific diet, and right now, we don't do the official formal keto diet, but we do a healthy version of it, implementing
lots of vegetables,
the right amount of protein,
avocado, things like that, very healthy fats,
things like that, but anytime you're doing something like that, there's a good potential that you may not be getting certain nutrients from something that you don't have in your diet or whatever it is. So you've got to research and make sure that you're aware of, what you're putting in your body, eliminate things that have chemicals and, all that kind of stuff. It is insane.
Try to stick to organic for the most part, as much as you can.
It's insane what is in the food and drink products these days. We won't.
Oh, it's all garbage.
We'll do that. We'll do that as another topic. But essentially, we do a lot of research. We're always online figuring out what we should incorporate, what we should add into our diet, what we should take out of our diet. How many hours we should be doing certain things. I mean, it's just a lot goes into that, and that's our way of going. That's that creating the plan to follow. Like I said, figuring out what we want, which is, and to me, obviously, I would love to be, Sports Illustrated swimsuit model ready all the time. I'm not.
You were too.
I know. I never have been.
She's going to kill me later for that.
No, I'm fine with that. I'm very comfortable with myself. But at the same time, I want to be healthy. You know what I mean? And your body is a very big indicator of how healthy you're living your life. And so
it is.
It's not a weight loss goal for me. I have the goal of losing weight, but it's not like I am not striving for just total perfection. I want healthiness more so than the body image, So
absolutely.
A lot goes into that. And obviously you've got to be consistent at whatever you're doing. So
you know what? One of my favorite new habits that I'm trying to be consistent with, and I've done pretty well so far since the beginning of the year, is getting up at 5 a.m. or earlier every single morning. And that's hard. It's hard to do because I'm used to sleeping into, 7 or 8. So it's getting up at 5, getting up before the sun comes up. It's It's pretty amazing. I'm liking it so far, but I have to get to bed by at the latest 10:30, or I'm just worth nothing the next day.
Yeah, it's a new habit for us. Not sleeping less, but just changing our schedule because we got into the consistency of staying up until usually 1 or 2 o'clock in the
Or
morning,
later.
doing stuff on the computer. And sometimes it was work related. Most of the time, it was somewhat work related, editing videos, possibly, putting marketing things together, stuff like that. So I felt like I was efficiently using my time, or I felt like it was worth it. And, that would, of course, then have us waking up a little bit later in the morning. So, same amount of hours awake, and same amount of hours asleep. But what we really found was that it wasn't a very efficient way to use our time because your brain's not functioning as well
Well, yeah,
that late at
the
night. You've had a
quality.
lot of stuff go on throughout the day that really does wear your brain down more than you realize. So,
So the quality of your work goes way down when you're trying to do it all, at a late night hour.
yeah.
So
So now, so our schedule now, and it's funny because he does tend to typically get up a little bit before me, usually about 30 minutes. He gets up, does a few of his morning things, makes the coffee. I am one of those lucky girls who gets to have coffee brought to her in bed every morning to wake her up now
well,
at
I
five
just I
thirty.
just love it because I can get up. It's dark out. I can come up to the office and get my reading done, kind of do a little meditation, prayer, those kinds of things, and just really kind of just think about what I want to accomplish that day. And I kind of write out what I call my daily manifesto, basically, and that's what I want to accomplish. The most important things I want to accomplish that particular day, and I use a lot of visualization and things like that, and goal setting. So I'm able to get all that done before the sun even comes up. So cool stuff.
Yep, it's awesome. So we're loving our new morning schedule, and we get more done now by 9 o'clock than we used to get done by noon, and so it is opened up a whole a whole
Whole new universe.
new universe. Yeah, we have a lot of our time back, and our work and everything we're done, or that we do is done at a higher level, which I really, really like. So it's all about consistency, and you've got to, like I said, when you put the plan of action in place so that you can take action on it and be consistent. Got to start with your goals. Got to start with your why. Got to figure out what you want. And I am a firm believer in if it's not your spouse or if it's not a business partner, finding someone that will be your running buddy. It can be someone you work with. It can be a friend of yours. It can be your spouse for sure. Your partner, whatever it is. And when I say that, as far as finding someone to run with and be your running buddy, find someone that helps, support you, does stuff with you, holds you accountable. It's not all
Someone that's willing to be consistent with you and do things that align with the principles that you both have. I think it's important.
right. Shared principles and shared desires and things like that, as far as, levels that you want to operate your life on. Someone that shares that passion with you and understands, even if y'all are in totally different industries and you live totally different lives, someone that understands and respects that you have passion for what you're doing and supports you in that, and sometimes it can be a parent. I mean, it's endless on who it can be, but find someone that really, really will be your cheerleader and your accountability partner, because that goes a long way when you're going through those struggles of feeling like you've tried a lot and you've failed and you're trying to pick yourself back up and do something over and over and over, even though you're not quite yet seeing the results from it. So, and I love it. The acronym FOCUS, obviously you've got to focus on what you're doing, but if you break that up into an actual acronym and you follow one course until success, I think it's a huge, huge thing, like we talked about, that a lot of people just fail to do, and they jump around the second they don't feel like they're getting the results they want from the actions they're putting forth. They say, maybe I should be doing something different, or squirrel. It's like, we get that from that cartoon. It's like squirrel, you get distracted by something
Right.
else that pops up, that new shiny penny,
Mhm.
and you feel like that you're supposed to change direction and do that, when it just might be that the path that you're on and what you're working towards, you just haven't given it enough. So, and it takes a lot, and it's tough a lot of the time, and relationships are tough a lot of the time, workouts are tough a lot of the time, but they're the types of things that you take massive action and you consistently over and over and over put forth the effort that's needed, what you get from those efforts is beautiful.
And you do have to have little checkpoints where you kind of check in and see what kind of results you are getting, over time, every few months or so, because you don't want to just aimlessly be going after something and being consistent. It's something that's not in alignment with what you really want, and it is not actually producing any actual results.
I full-heartedly agree.
Yep.
And that's it. That's the power of consistency. That's the importance of consistency. And whatever you need to figure out in your life as far as what your big goals are and what your plan of action is going to be, and then how you can stay consistent at those, that is what you should stop everything you're doing right now and you should do. Figure it out, figure out your plan, put the plan into action, and then stay consistent.
Cool. Well, that's our podcast for today. Guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, do the thing, like, share, subscribe, whatever the case may be. And we will see you on the next podcast.
Yes, we look forward to talking to you guys again next week.
Have a great one, everybody.